My name is Emily and this is my story. It all started with a decision I never thought I would have to make. I stole money. Not because I wanted to, but because life left me with no other choice. Let me explain. I have a younger brother, Daniel. He means everything to me. One day he got into serious trouble. He owed a large sum of money to some very dangerous people. They gave him an ultimatum: pay up or face the consequences. Desperate and terrified, he came to me, begging for help. I had no money and no one to turn to. But then I thought of Ethan. Ethan was wealthy. He had money, cars, and a luxurious home. He had been interested in me for a long time, but I never felt the same way. He always told me, "I can give you anything, Emily. But you must be mine." I never loved him, and the thought of asking him for help made me uneasy. But Daniel's life was on the line. I had no other option. I went to Ethan and pleaded for help. He listened, then smiled and said, "I'll give you all the money you need, but there's one condition." Dread filled me. "What is it?" I asked. "You must marry me," he said. Froze. How could he demand something like that, knowing the situation I was in? I told him no, that I didn't love him. But Ethan didn't care. "If you want the money, you must be mine," he insisted. Desperation consumed me. I couldn't let anything happen to my brother. With a heavy heart I agreed. Ethan handed me the money, but deep inside, I knew I couldn't go through with the marriage. That night, I returned to his house to give the money back and break off the deal. But Ethan wouldn't listen. He stepped closer, his smile making my skin crawl. Panic set in. My eyes darted around the room, and I spotted a vase on the table. Without thinking, I grabbed it and struck Ethan. He collapsed. I didn't wait. I grabbed the money and ran. I ran until my legs gave out. Then I saw a small house, its lights dim. Desperate, I knocked on the door. A young man opened it. His name was Luke. He looked surprised to see me. "Please," I whispered. "Help me. I have nowhere to go." Luke hesitated, then nodded. "Come in." I stayed with Luke for 3 days. He was kind, understanding, and never judged me when I told him the truth. He simply said, "You did what you had to do for your family." Unlike Ethan, Luke made me feel safe. But I couldn't stay forever. I thanked him and left, but as I walked away, something strange happened. I couldn't stop thinking about him. His kindness, his voice, his presence, it all stayed with me. Had I fallen for him? It seemed impossible. I had only just met him. But deep inside I knew the truth. Days turned into weeks, yet my feelings didn't change. My brother was safe now. The debt was paid, and the danger had passed. But something was missing. I felt empty. One day I made a decision. I had to see Luke again. With a racing heart, I knocked on his door. He opened it. His expression filled with surprise. "Emily," he said. "I'm back." "Yes," I answered, my voice trembling. "I came to thank you again. And to tell you something." He let me in, and we sat at his small table. I took a deep breath. "Luke, you were there for me when no one else was. I can't stop thinking about you. I think I've fallen in love with you." He stared at me for a moment. My heart pounded. Had I made a mistake? Then he smiled. "I've been thinking about you too, Emily. I missed you every day since you left." Relief washed over me. He felt the same way. The following weeks were blissful. We spent time together, sharing stories and laughter. Luke showed me his garden, his favorite books, and even played his old guitar for me. He made me feel safe in a way I had never known. But life wasn't simple. Ethan hadn't given up. One evening, while Luke and I sat outside, we heard a car approaching. My stomach twisted. I knew it was Ethan. He stepped out, flanked by 2 men. his eyes burning with anger. You thought you could steal from me and just disappear, he sneered. Luke stood up, placing himself between us. Leave her alone, he said firmly. Ethan laughed mockingly. And who are you? Her protector. Stay out of this. Luke didn't flinch. I won't let you hurt her. The air was thick with tension. Ethan's men moved closer, but Luke remained steadfast. I'll call the police, he warned. Do you really want more trouble, Ethan? Ethan hesitated. He didn't want the law involved. With a final glare, he spat, This isn't over, Emily. You owe me. Then he turned and left. After that night, Luke and I knew we couldn't stay. It wasn't safe. We packed our things and moved to a quiet village far away. Life there was peaceful. Luke found a job as a teacher and I started working at a small shop. We didn't have much, but we had each other, and that was enough. One evening, as we sat by the fire, Luke took my hand and looked into my eyes. Emily, he said, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you marry me? Tears welled in my eyes. Yes, I whispered. Yes, I will. Our wedding was simple but perfect. We didn't need extravagance. We had love, and that was all that mattered. Looking back, I realize how much I've changed. I made mistakes, but those mistakes led me to Luke. He taught me what it means to love and be loved. Every morning I wake up beside him, feeling grateful. My life isn't perfect, but it's filled with love. And that's all I could ever ask for. The end.